Last year, Rolling Stone magazine knighted you the new Louis C.K. That, on paper, doesn't stink at all. But who the fuck needs that? Because it's nothing but pressure now. Now you have to live up to that. Now you have to somehow explain.
No, I felt like that was insulting to Louis.
Well,
because
sure.
all I'm doing is writing jokes. Louis is also putting out hours faster than I am. I'm doing like once every little over 2 years. He puts someone out every single year while acting, writing, directing, editing, one of the funniest shows I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So he's kind of doing all of that. I'm like a one-trick pony over here.
It was a little bit of a fuck you to Louis.
I don't think it was. I think they just saw like, oh, another balding redhead. He's in this drawer.
No.
Let's stick him in the Louis drawer.
Do you have those
I would
little
have liked not to have that be the title, but I understand that they have to, because nobody knows who the hell I am, so they got to be like, you know that thing you like? This is the next thing like that thing.
Yeah.
But a little different.
But also, they probably thought, what's the biggest compliment we could
I'm
pay
sure they
a
thought
stand-up
that, yeah.
comedian today?
Right.
And that is it.
The next Lenny Bruce.
Right. And I don't think, our acts are alike at all.
No.
Like,
No.
And I don't know. I've just been a
fill in the
just
blank,
a
though.
huge. He was one of those guys. Louis, Dave Attell, Dave Chappelle. Those are the guys who had such an influence on me when I first came down to New York, because I had been performing in Boston, and those crowds were a bunch of angry, drunk white people, which was basically what I was. So to make them laugh, I had to get over the uncomfortableness of the whole just doing stand-up in general. But when I went to New York, and all of a sudden it was this mixed, just all kinds of people all mixed up, I was really on my heels, and there was more of that street vibe and that type of thing. And I was a suburb kid, so I used to get eaten alive because if the crowd senses your fear, you're done.
Yeah.
So I remember I used to watch Louis and Dave and Attell and Dave Chappelle to go on. Like, I saw them do this countless times. Like, the shows would go on so long at like the Boston Comedy Club that literally the show had been over for 40 minutes. Like, the last 4 comics who went up were just bombing. And for some reason, people wouldn't leave. And then at like 2 in the morning, one of them would walk on stage, and it was like 9 o'clock on a Saturday, and instantly would just go up and would be destroying. And I remember just sitting at the back of the club going, how do you do that? How the fuck do you do that? And
walk into a shitstorm and kill.
I remember one time Louis walked on stage, and all he said hello in this weird way. He did this really exaggerated wave. He's got that booming voice. And he was a little off the mic. And immediately they could tell this guy doesn't give a fuck in a good way. He's totally in command. And he just instantly, the whole crowd just woke up. And he was just like destroying. Or like a few times I saw people make the mistake of heckling Dave Attell. Like not knowing. Like I remember going up and bombing, and then actually staying there because I hated the crowd so much, because I couldn't wait to see Dave go up, because I knew that when the crowd gets to a comic, they start to get a little arrogant.
Sure.
And they feel like they're in control. And I remember I would be, Dave's going on in 2. These people have no idea what the fuck they're in for. And because they saw someone who was soft like me go up there, because I didn't know what I was doing, they feel like, oh, this is our entertainment now. Let's go off on these guys. And I remember a couple of times, just some of the shit that Dave said. One time we were at the Cellar, and there's these older guys in the corner, and this guy had this old like salt and pepper beard or something. They started heckling Dave, and rather than just being like throwing out a stock line, he just invented this whole world. And he goes, "Sir, why don't you just admit it?" He's like, "I'm your son. You and your Navy buddies had your way with my mom." And he just built this fucking like 10-minute story of how this guy and his friends raped his mother, and that's where he came from. And I don't know how he made it funny, but it was like everybody, even like tight asses in the crowd, were dying laughing. They died and were dying laughing, and everybody just realized, okay, don't fuck with this guy.
Right.
And then he went into his act. But what I loved about it was he dealt with this guy who ate me up. He was like taking out a cigarette, and he was like, "Sir, why don't you admit it? I'm your son." And it's just throwing it away. And then, it wasn't until like he took his first drag, and then he kind of looked at the guy, that he really actually gave him 100% of what he had. And when he did that, I mean, just fucking chopped all their heads off. And I just remember, like, you literally leave fantasizing, wishing you said it. Like, God, I wish I was the guy that did that.
last week, Billy Burr was here. Do you know him?
Yep, yeah, I know Billy.
He's so funny. He did this thing where he was trying to he couldn't. And he kept and he was nice. Like he was, I mean, like really nice guy.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure he was.
Nice guy. Oh. The show, he said, "Hey, Mike," I can't do his voice, but he was, "Take me to the cool places." So I was like, "My pleasure." So we hung out. Oh, I took him to some great places to eat, and he was cool. Like he was cool. He shook hands with everybody. Everybody. You know who else I drove? Was Mike Kaplan. And that guy was so cool.
Yeah, you know, Mike, yeah, that's
Mhm.
great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm really glad that you met those guys. I'm glad that you hung out with them and that they were really cool. I'm sure they were really cool. You know, for them, that's the way that's what they're like, right? That they like to go on the road and they like to see the country and meet everybody. It's great. I'm different, okay? I'm 47 years old. I've been doing this for I don't even know how long anymore. And the road is not, for me, like an adventure, okay? It's like, I've seen it. I've seen the whole country. I've met all the people. I've met all of them. I've even met you, Mike, in a way. So for me now, the road is not like an adventure. It's like going to the toilet. It's something I have to do. And I don't have a lot of choices out here. But one choice that I need to be able to make is that I can be by myself and not talk to everybody. And I don't mean that to be insulting or unfriendly. That's just what I need for me to be comfortable on the road, is to not have to always talk to folks and make friends if I don't feel like it. So I'm sorry if that's a bummer for you or if it's disappointing, but it's what works for me. Okay?
My wife was out of town. She was in New York City for the great Patrice O'Neill benefit. I want to thank everybody who came out, and I want to thank everyone who did the show. I, unfortunately, was not able to get a fucking flight in time, if you can believe that. I actually missed the benefit. It's fucking brutal. I had a flight out Saturday morning. And I believe that one I was on American Airlines, and they just gave me a call, and they were like, a 1-800 number. And I went, hello. And they were like, hello, this is American Airlines informing you that flight 2913 has been canceled. You've been relocated. No, you might want to grab a pen. You have now been rebooked on flight number 1750 out of LAX on Tuesday, January 26th at 1:15 p.m. The benefit was on the 26th. I was supposed to be flying out on the 23rd. They pushed it 3 fucking days, and I was going to leave 4:15 East Coast time when the show starts at 7. So I'm like, well, that's not going to work. So I call my travel agent, and so she got me a flight on JetBlue, 7:45 a.m. on Sunday, the 24th. So I'm like, no worries. All right, so I missed a day. No big deal. Blah, 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 right? And then I get a call like the night before. I'm all packed. I got my shit right next to the door, and there's like, this is a recording from JetBlue. You might want to have a pen and a piece of paper, right? And then they fucking bumped me to fucking Tuesday. So I said, fuck these guys. I called my travel agent again. Now I'm on Virgin, right? I don't know why they call it Virgin Airlines, and then it looks so jizzy in that fucking thing. It's like if the W Hotel was a plane, with the fucking aquarium lighting. that just says no one wants to see a good look at their face in a mirror after they do what they do in here, right? So they booked me on that fucking thing. And they're like, well, the time we can get you out is right when the New England Patriots game starts. And I'm like, fuck! They're like, all right, you got TV? Yeah, fuck it, put me on it, right? And then that one got canceled. So at that point, I deduced, if I'm using the word properly, that that the fucking every poor bastard from Saturday and Sunday, now that those flights had all been canceled, were now eating up all the Monday and Tuesday ones. So I had my travel agent go after another flight, and then meanwhile I called my manager, who knows all these big guys, and I said, can you get me a replacement in case I'm not going to be able to get in? Long story short, I wasn't able to get in time. We got a replacement, and I wish I could have been there, because Rich Voss, who crushed it as a host once again this year, and he said, blah, 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 blah. Unfortunately, Bill Burr can't be here. And everybody's like, oh, what the fuck? Where is the red cunt, right? And he said, that's the bad news. He said, the good news is Louis C.K. And Louis C.K. walked out, and they went fucking absolutely mental. And, I was replaced, one balding redhead with another balding redhead with more credits. So nobody missed me. And I guess he fucking murdered it. And then all he had to do was 15, because he's such a great guy, did like 25. And just fucking destroyed, and everybody had a great time. And somebody sent me a picture of everybody in the end coming out. Al Dalbeni flew in all the way from Sydney, Australia. That's another reason why I didn't want to reschedule, because this guy flew in from the other side of the fucking world. And who else was there? Rachel Feinstein, Greer Barnes, who absolutely murdered, one of the greatest who ever did it, Greer Barnes. Jim Norton. I don't have it in front of me. I wasn't there, too, so I know I'm going to end up forgetting somebody. But anyways, everybody, Godfrey did it. Everybody fucking killed.